Hello, and thank you for coming to another episode of This All Stops When We Start Talking About It. My name is Jill Carlson, and I just want to thank you for tuning in for episode number 6. I also wanted to start out the beginning of this video with a couple of off-topic things. First of all, I want to thank those of you that have made donations to me. It's humbling and humiliating to have to ask, but I need help. I I'm not lying when I said that they ran me out of town and ruined my career. And I think you guys are starting to see that. You're really going to see it as we continue to tell more stories. But I know you're probably thinking, well, why don't you just do more legal work? I've been trying. I've been begging people on the internet to hire me to do wills and trusts and things I can do remotely. I've also I can't take the Kansas State Bar. They only offer it in February and July. I can't afford to take it, but I don't have the time to study for it because I still have a case in Montezuma County. That client has paid me excessive amounts of money, but he's been bankrupted now, and I'm not going to leave him in the lurch. So I'm living on a very, very lean budget. So anything that you are willing to send or any work that you want to send my way, I would be most appreciative of. I am going to put this information at the end of the video, but if you do want to make donations, I have a Venmo account set up specifically for this project at This All Stops. I also have a Cash App account tied to my comedy business, which is Jill Carlson Comedy. And then I have a PayPal through my business email address, Jill at jmcarlsonlaw.com, Jill at jmcarlsonlaw.com. So, like I said, I will put this information at the end of the video as well. But if you feel so inclined, I would be so appreciative. I won't be asking for money forever. I'm asking for a month or two until I can get the hell out of this situation and hopefully move on with my life. So, again, thank you to those of you that have donated thus far, and thank you to those of you that will donate in the future. I appreciate you, and I am glad you believe me and in what I'm doing. It makes me feel really good. Moving on. I have a crazy idea. Just sometimes do. That's kind of the way I operate, and it works a lot of the times. And here's the thing: they've already told you all I'm crazy, so let's get crazy. You know, I want to tell you, in the context of all of this nonsense they did to me, I tried to utilize the formal channels and get a hold of every single possible person that I could get a hold of. I tried to call my local people. I got a hold of the sheriff, the DA, the county attorneys, the county commissioners, CPS, the judges, court executor. No help. None of them would help me. None of them. Not a single one of them. In fact, most of them were pretty rude to me. I have the emails to back that up. I tried to contact my state government, Governor Polis, the Attorney General, the Colorado Child Protection Ombudsman's Office, Colorado Department of Human Services, Colorado Department of Education, Colorado Judicial Performance Commission, Colorado Office of Attorney Regulations Council, Colorado Victims' Rights Board, Colorado Post, and Colorado Bureau of Investigation. And well, they weren't rude to me. They just ignored me and acted like I didn't exist, with the exception of two of those agencies. The Department of Education did issue a letter to my client giving him right to sue the school in a particular case, not the cases I've talked about, on behalf of him and his child. So they took my evidence and my case seriously. Thank you, Colorado Department of Education. And the Colorado Judicial Discipline Commission finally has began investigating the complaints that my clients and I made in April and May of 2024. I got contact from an investigator on December 24th, 2024. And so I appreciate that they're finally looking into my stuff, but that only would deal with disciplining judges for misconduct in the courtroom. It doesn't get my clients safe. It doesn't get their children safe. And it doesn't give us a remedy. So I've tried all those things and didn't work. Now, I also tried to go to the federal government. I went to the Department of Human Services, the CIA, the NSA, the DOJ, and the FBI. None of them would help me. None of them really even responded to me. I got 2 phone calls from the FBI, and I was never asked to present any of the evidence I had. So Biden's FBI completely ignored me. But opportunist, and so is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is about to be our president, January 20th, whether you like it or not. This is not a partisan issue. This is a people and a humanity issue. This is a constitutional crisis issue. And what better person to come and take care of it than an opportunist who's just promised to clean up the DOJ and the FBI? So here's what I'm asking for you all to do. This is our call to action. If you believe in the cause and you are part of any of this, or you want an investigation done, we tried the FBI. They ignored us. I tried the podcast. Thank you for your following, but I still have had no contact. So let's get a hold of the big daddy in charge. I shouldn't have called him that. That's gross. I'm sorry. Let's get a hold of the president that's going to be in charge. That's how we're going to do this. And so I don't care which format you use. I'm going to go ahead and paste information at the end of this video. If you want to use Twitter or X or whatever they call it, True Social, if you want to write to the office of the president, what I want you to say is this: we demand an investigation into corruption in the 22nd Judicial District of Colorado. And please contact Jill Carlson. She has information for your FBI. Biden's FBI would not help her. Now, if you like him and we get enough people to do it, guess what? He might fly his helicopter right into Montezuma County and you can all meet him. And if you don't like him, then let's see him put his money where his mouth is. I want to know if there's one government actor that's willing to do the right thing, because none of the other ones I talked to were. Let's see if President Trump is going to do what he said. So if you feel so inclined, what I'm asking you to do is, on Inauguration Day, flood the White House with complaints about 22nd Judicial District of Colorado and tell them, we need your help, sir. You want to call me a Karen? Well, guess what? I'm getting your manager. We'll see how you like that, huh? Thanks for listening to that. Let's get on to case number 2, part 2. So if you recall, I was talking to you about the case involving a male domestic violence client of mine who had been essentially accused of child abuse by his daughter and the mother, who had a history of making false allegations and attempting to alienate the children from him. And Judge William First had wrongfully taken his children away from him in a hearing in December and then set us for a hearing in January, where the mother made false accusations against me, and the judge issued arbitrary suppression of speech orders over me and prohibited me from practicing law and representing my client effectively. Called me antagonistic and told me I couldn't do my job. So I left that hearing going, what on earth just happened? I mean, I was shell-shocked. And there happened to be another lawyer in the area who was in the courtroom and saw that happen and called me later that afternoon and said, I don't know if you realized it, but the judge just prohibited you from practicing law. And the honest truth was, at that moment, I didn't. I was so angry and so like, why is he doing this to me? I hadn't even thought about that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. He goes, I've never seen a judge do anything like that to anybody. I don't know why the judge did that to you. So I asked the guy, I said, listen, I know I have this reputation of being a jerk and I get in trouble for my female voice, my tone all the time. I don't think I was talking. I don't think I was doing what he said I did. Did I? And he's like, no, you weren't doing anything. It was completely out of line and it was really unprofessional. And if I was you, I would file a motion to reconsider. Another attorney told me that. And I was like, thank you, dude. I appreciate your advice. So I filed a motion to reconsider. And the judge said, you did what I said, and put it in writing, a lie, that I had been antagonistic in the courtroom, unprofessional, and that I had provoked the mother or something like that. Now, let's step back for 1 second, because first of all, the law is an adversarial profession. I am hired to argue against the other side. That is the essential function of my job. And the judge just said I couldn't do it anymore. And he did it without provocation. He did it because he was trying to get my client to fire me. He had been doing it in other cases. That was not the first time I had been called a name by Judge First. In fact, it was the third time I had been called a name in open court in front of other parties and my client. And I believe every single time he did it, it was a bid to get my clients to fire me, because he was sending a direct message to my clients saying, you're not going to win if she's your lawyer. It's disgusting. He made sure I didn't win. I can tell you that much. We did have the CFI appointed in that case. I'd mentioned in the last recording that the first CFI, Tisha Strawn, had to step down because of a conflict, and we got another CFI appointed. I'm not going to say her name because she did a great job. And so she did an investigation and was like, why did the judge do this? Like, what is going on? Why can't you talk to the mother? What the heck is going on? How can I do my job? Because I'm supposed to talk to you and the mother together. I can't really do what I'm supposed to do. I said, take it up with Judge First. I have no idea. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. The CFI did come down and report, basically claiming there was no merit to the allegations made by the mother and the daughter whatsoever, and that there was really serious concerns about the mental health of the children and the mother. And I thought, okay, cool, great. We're going to win. We're going to win the hearing. I mean, God, it shouldn't have been like this, but okay, cool. It's in our favor. The lady did recommend that the oldest daughter should stay with the mother. And at that point in time, my client, even though he loves his daughter very much, he knew his daughter was not getting any substantive mental health treatment. And he said, as much as I love her, she's not in a good spot right now. And I have to think about myself and my family because he had his other children, his stepchildren, his wife, and him living all in this house. And he's like, I can't invite that chaos back into my life. If she wants to live with her mom, I'm going to respect that. She's almost an adult. Fine, fine. So the younger one was supposed to come back, according to what the CFI said, but she did recommend that they stay there till the end of the school year, which I didn't necessarily agree with that. They were failing all of their classes. So maybe not all of them. They were not doing well in school. So maybe that's how I should say it. They were not doing well in school. But I'm like, okay, well, we'll just argue this at the hearing. We'll figure out what we need to do. And then we had a pretrial conference because I was having to file multiple motions to compel information from the mother because she wasn't giving me documents. I couldn't get mental health records. I couldn't get educational records. I had no idea where the children who, again, were self-harming and, wanting to unalive themselves. I had no idea where they were going and getting medical treatment. I had no idea what kind of medical treatment they were getting. I didn't know if she was following the court orders. And I'm like, Your Honor, you put these orders in place on her and you ordered her to turn this information over. And now you're making my client have to pay me and go through excessive measures to like get this information. This is crazy. So he would grant these motions to compel and then he would completely refuse to enforce them. At the same time, I had mentioned before in the first that there was some issues with child support and taxes. Well, after the mom got custody of the children, right around January 5th, the day that she said she wasn't going to bring the children to Green River, Utah, her husband texted my client and said, We're taking the children on taxes. You can't do anything about it. I've got the text message. Well, this was the third time they had improperly taken the children on taxes. They did it in 2020, 2021, and 2023 tax years. And my client didn't know about it until his tax returns got rejected by the IRS. And he suddenly had a bill that he owed to the IRS and he couldn't complete his tax returns for those years when he should have had a refund and she wasn't legally allowed to claim the kids. So my client and I filed for contempt of court because we'd already dealt with that issue back in 2022 when Judge Walker was still on the case. And we found out she had done the taxes in 2020 and 2021. And Walker told her in a written order issued November 4th, 2022. It's ridiculous. I know that. That she was not allowed to claim the children on taxes if she owed child support arrears and that they were to follow the court order. And she didn't claim. So my client said, okay, enough is enough. I cannot let this keep going on. I'm in trouble with the IRS. I can't apply for loans. I can't do anything. My finances have been completely destroyed because of this. I got to do something. She's allowed to do because she violated a court order that directly harmed him. So he's allowed to pursue a remedy. It took us a very long time to serve her personally, because she was hiding out. We had to pay a constable for Salt Lake County to track her around town. And then finally, we served her mother, at the house they live in. Her mother is over the age of 18, and the laws of civil service allow personal service upon a member of the household who's over the age of 18. And we finally got her served. So we have this hearing date set for April. We did have a pretrial conference, and at that pretrial conference, we dealt mostly with me saying, hey, she's not giving me information. The kids aren't enrolled in school, to our knowledge. The kids aren't going to therapy. They just told the judge that they are self-harming. Well, the oldest one did. We're really worried about these kids. And so Magistrate Taryn issued some orders for that hearing, commanding her to turn stuff over, and then also asked me why I couldn't talk to her. And I made a record again and said, I don't believe I did what Judge First claimed I did. He keeps writing it down in orders saying I did something I didn't do. And I've tried to object to it. And even the CFI is having an issue doing this case, but I'm respecting his order. Karen was like, okay, that's weird that he did that. It's like, yeah, I know. After that hearing, Will, who was not in the hearing, was not part of it, was not presiding over it, wrote another written order claiming I did what he said I did back in January. At that point in time, I had my clients, I said, listen, I know you guys are financially strapped. I know this has bankrupted you. Could you please pay $40 to get a copy of the hearing, a recording of the hearing? Because we couldn't afford to pay for a transcript. It was going to be a couple $100 or maybe more. But at least if we can get the recording of it, even though those are not admissible in court, then I can at least know what happened. And if I did do it, then fair enough. But I don't think I did. When I finally got a chance to listen to the recording, I hadn't been talking for almost 2 minutes when Judge first called me antagonistic and issued those orders against me. I was typing a proposed order at his direction. He was asking me to type what he was saying. And in the middle of him giving his oral orders, he was interrupted by the other side, who started accusing me again of harassing her in the middle of him giving oral orders. So instead of stopping in and saying, ma'am, I'm speaking, he turned to me and yelled at me and then suppressed my speech. That's exactly what happened. And on the basis of him writing that other order right before our hearing, I told my client, you are not going to get a fair trial with this judge. I don't have the ability to transfer you to another jurisdiction. You've already consented to jurisdiction in Montezuma County. This judge needs to be recused. He's biased and prejudiced. Justice is supposed to be blind, but when I walk in the courtroom, it's not. You're going to lose if I'm your lawyer. So let's recuse him. Now, there's a law in the state of Colorado. I don't have it off the top of my head, but if you want it, email me and I'll get it to you because it's in my motion. That says basically if a judge, or excuse me, if a party thinks the judge is biased or prejudiced, or there's an appearance of impropriety, bias, or prejudice, if the party, along with an attorney representing the party, file a motion to recuse along with affidavits detailing the reason why, even if the judge disagrees, the judge is required to remove himself from the case. The hearing was set for April 4th of 2024. He issued that negative order against me, I believe, on March or April 3rd, April 2nd of 2024. And that's when I told my client, we can't do this hearing in 2 days. He's going to screw you over. He's going to destroy your children. We have to do something different. So we filed that motion on April 3rd. I filed it about 10 o'clock in the morning. It was accepted about 10:15. So it was in his inbox all day long. And I thought, okay, well, we're not having the hearing tomorrow because I know the law says he's required to take himself off the case. Instead, about 5:45 p.m. that night, he issued an order denying the request to recuse himself, saying I didn't object to him calling me antagonistic back in January, which I did. I filed a motion to reconsider, and made numerous objections throughout the months leading up to the hearing. And then after he did that, I'm upset because I'm like, okay, fine, I have to redo all my exhibits now and re-upload everything. I was crying. I was staying in somebody else's house because I didn't feel like I could, because I didn't have a place to stay there. I was alone. I didn't have anybody to help me. I was having to pack some of my stuff because I was still trying to get my stuff out of Colorado. And then the mom dropped about 47 exhibits on me less than 12 hours before the hearing. And Judge first yelled at me that, we weren't prepared for the hearing. We had the hearing, and he basically had no other choice because the CFI was involved, but to come down in my client's favor, except for he really didn't. He yelled at the mother, but the statute says that he's supposed to award my client attorney's fees and make up parenting time. I think my client got like 1 day of make up parenting time or something like that. It was ridiculous. And then the judge dismissed his contempt citation, claiming that we didn't serve her properly, and also that he thinks it would be better for him to work on his co-parenting skills than to pursue his right to justice. He coerced him into not pursuing a remedy. I know that they will never co-parent. They've been fighting for 12 years, and she's getting worse. And even when the judge made them talk and removed me from the equation, she called him names, she threatened him, she manipulated him, she made false allegations. In the context of all this going on, she filed cases in Utah and Texas, bringing us into the mix. I had to appear at one of the Utah hearings. I didn't even know anything about it. I was just watching it. I got yelled at by a judge in Utah when I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't even a party there. I was just spectating. And then the judge said, well, if you want to pursue your right to get these IRS things fixed, then why don't you do a position brief and tell me why? That's not how the law works. The judge shouldn't make me prove my case before I have a hearing. But I did the position brief. My client said, I can't afford to not do this. It will financially devastate us. We have a family of 6. I can't. So we went forward on it. The mother tried to file a motion to reconsider. The judge's order continued to make false allegations. The kids were still being bad. He hasn't seen his oldest daughter since December 5th or whatever, and she was still trying to make claims on him. The mom would shop her around to different emergency rooms. One of them was given our court file to put into the child's emergency room file by the mother. It was very clear who the problem was here. It was very clear this was a very mentally and emotionally damaging situation to these children. And Judge First is totally responsible for it. I don't know if that oldest child will ever get help, and I'm very concerned that she'll grow up to do the things that her mother did to her father. The younger one is back with her father finally. She had to do summer school. Um, we got set for this contempt citation, and Judge First, bizarrely, after me asking him multiple times to remove himself from the case, suddenly took himself off the case in about July of 2024. I think that's because Judge First got wise that we had filed judicial complaints on him in this matter. So instead of transferring us to Judge Plew like he should have done, he transferred us to Magistrate Taryn, putting us one step further away from getting help. We did have the contempt hearing, and the mother was again not giving me documentation. I had to again file, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 motions to compel. Every single one of them was granted. She didn't abide by any of them. And even though we were able to prove contempt, the judge said we couldn't prove that she had the ability to pay or comply. And I said, well, Your Honor, that's because you issued orders multiple times ordering her to give me this information and she refused to do it. So I don't know why that's being held against me. I attempted to get the information to be able to prove that, and you allowed her to not provide it to me, even though you ordered her to give it to me. We got a written order in that matter, and the mom tried to file a motion to modify child support just to keep the case open. The written order was terrible. I had to again have my client go pay for a CD so I could actually put what the court had said in oral orders into a document. And luckily, Magistrate Taryn, with the exception of one part of it, which she actually did say in court, but didn't agree with me. It's in the recording, but she scratched it off of my order, but she signed it. And I told my client, close the case, try not to open it, try not to stir the pot, try to keep your youngest daughter as safe as you possibly can. I can't help you anymore. I quit. I'm really glad that he's letting me tell this story. And I feel so bad for him and his family. They're good people who didn't deserve this. And I know sometimes you might get this picture in your head of what these type of people are like. I'm telling you, these are people that sit next to you in church. These are people that you see in the grocery store. These are people that you see lined up beside you at the Veterans Day parades. These are people who have children in activities. They make sure they have snacks and uniforms and spending money on field trips. That's the type of person this happened to. And it only happened because Judge William First didn't like me. Because Judge William First was trying to earn my career and run me out of town. And if I would have known that, I would have quit years ago because I feel horrible that this happened to all of these people. It wasn't my fault. They tried to make it my fault. And I have this amazing, horrible, terrible, onerous responsibility to try and help these people as much as I possibly can, even at the expense of my own life. That's been episode 2 of This All Stops When We Start Talking About It. Stay tuned for information on how we can get some help from Donald Trump. Thanks, folks. Have a good day.